Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy Elvious Void coming back with another part of What If Naruto was Kokushibo's reincarnation. So before we get into the video, I'd like to ask everyone to please hit that like button and that subscribe button before we actually get into the video. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Going from where we last left off, Team 7 would have gone to do the Land of Waves mission, in which they would have done that pretty successfully. With them all finishing that and coming back to Konoha, they'll be meted with a new task at hand, the Chunin exams, in which Naruto would have agreed to do the Chunin exams with his teammates, that being Sasuke and Sakura. With them doing the first part of the exam and passing, the same type of situation would happen. Naruto would all go to the second phase of the exam, and that would begin with Orochimaru meeting them in the second exam, with Naruto defending against Orochimaru and basically saving Sasuke from Orochimaru's grasp on giving him the cursed seal. Sasuke would be not given the cursed seal at that moment, with Naruto saving Sasuke, but before Sasuke is fully saved, he would have broken his right arm, being completely snapped by Orochimaru, who was just testing him before he could give him the curse mark. With Naruto saving Sasuke and Sakura, they would go off to hand in the two scrolls that they would have gotten from Orochimaru, which was the Earth Scroll. Naruto all would have passed the second phase of the exam, and we will get right into the preliminaries. With them all arriving at the preliminaries, Team 7 would see that there's a lot of other people there, and Sasuke would immediately be treated for his broken arm. With Hiruzen, who's now giving a speech after a few hours, as the other genin would have come to the arena where they're supposed to be fighting. The third Hokage would explain that there are too many people in the third section of the Chunin exams, and would have to run a preliminaries match before they continue fighting. With him also asking if anyone wants to forfeit, Kabuto would forfeit the match, saying that he doesn't have enough chakra and that was injured in the second phase of the exam. With everything being all the same, the proctor would start the exam. With Sasuke, who doesn't have his chakra sealed but does have a broken arm, he would still win in his fight against Iori, who was a member of Kabuto's team. With all the other fights during that time would also go to the same. There would be a little change with Naruto and Kiba's fight. Naruto, who sees everything and Kiba as a joke at this point, would not have a single facial expression placed on his face. Kiba would arrogantly smirk, saying that this will be a walk in the park, as they haven't seen any of Naruto's true capabilities at this point, and only the slight skill that he has shown, but with Kiba thinking that he's still the top dog and the alpha male, would arrogantly say that he'll easily beat Naruto in this fight. With Naruto and Kiba going into the arena, Kiba would immediately, with Akamaru, use his beast, his cloning beast spiral, jutsu, and rush towards Naruto. But before he can even get close to Naruto, Naruto immediately blitzes behind Kiba, chopping him on the neck, knocking him out. With Akamaru also seeing this, Naruto would immediately do a spin kick, kicking the dog into the ground, knocking it out, not doing any serious damage to injure or kill the two, just enough to knock them out and get them out of the fight. With Naruto being crowned the victor of the match, he would go up to the stairwell with the other genin. Hinata versus Neji's fight. Hinata would still sadly lose in this fight, as she's the exact same strength as she is in the original. There wouldn't be much change in that. But with the ending of the match, where Neji goes to try and kill Hinata, Naruto, before any of the other Jonins had perceived what was really happening, Naruto would have sensed the slight killing intent that was starting to come out, and would immediately blitz over to Neji, grabbing his arm, squeezing it to the point that Neji's arm would start to crack, that being his right arm. With Neji now screaming on the ground, Naruto would immediately knock him off his balance and onto his ass, and place his left foot on Neji's stomach, getting ready to basically pulverize his stomach. But before anything else happens, the Jonin would come into the match, holding Naruto back, telling him to stop what he's doing, and if he does do this, he'll be expelled from the exam, and would never be able to participate in the Chunin exams ever again. with Naruto saying that they're too slow and that Neji could have killed Hinata. They would apologize, saying that they didn't realize that Neji's actions before it could have been too late. Before it was too late. With Hinata thanking Naruto before she faintly gets red, and Naruto seeing this would think really nothing of it, as he doesn't find Hinata or anybody in general, appealing for him going to a relationship, with him only really thinking about power and becoming the strongest, stronger than anybody else in, the entire verse, which that is Naruto's secret goal to himself. He wants to be stronger than any of the legends that have been placed around the world in general. He wants to become stronger than Madara Uchiha, as well as the first Hokage, Hashirama. From the rumors and all the legends that he's heard about Hashirama, he was the god of shinobi before the third Hokage. Someone that with his legendary wood release would be able to beat anybody and anything, taming the 9 Biju before handing them out to the all other nations to try and give a peace treaty among all of them, but that sadly wouldn't have worked. Naruto wants to become stronger that he can face off on anything, against anything, and defeat even the Bijus themselves and anyone that is stronger or gets stronger than them. With that being pretty much done, after the fights are all done and dusted, Hiruzen will tell everyone that they need to get ready for the fights that are going to happen in a month's time. Hiruzen will also have the files and stuff up to who's going to be fighting who. Naruto would wait for all the information to come out and see that he is the second fight on the list, being him versus Neji. With Naruto now getting this information, he would walk out of the building and go to the Hokage's office before anyone's there, and would leave a note telling Hiruzen that he will be going to a hidden location in the village and he will do isolating training by himself and to not bother him at all. With Naruto, who's done informing Hiruzen and going to his isolating training, Naruto would not meet Jiraiya during this time. With Jiraiya also in the village, he would have wanted to train Naruto and get the chance to know the boy, but with Naruto going out of eyesight, he would not be able to go and train Naruto. With the 1 month time skip now happening, Naruto would come out of his isolation training much stronger than he was before, as he would have been practicing all his different techniques by himself and basically becoming much stronger than he was. With Naruto going to the stadium, he would hear the loud bowstring noise of all the civilians and the audience members in general, as the village is in a much happier mood than what it usually is, as the tuning event is a massive event for all people in Konoha. Even if it does happen only once in a while, it's still something magical to see for those who aren't ninja, as well as some of the ninjas themselves, seeing the new talents that there are coming to the ranks of Konoha. With Naruto now going into where all the other combatants are, the other genin, he would look at all of them while using his transparent world. He'd be able to see the type of strength that everybody has and accurately predict what their skills would be. But with that being said, the tournament would start, and the proctor who was killed before, I'm pretty sure that was Hayate Gecko, Genma would now be the new proctor for the finals, with Genma asking Sasuke, Uchiha, and Gaara to come down to the middle of this arena. Sasuke would still not attend and would be late, but with the crowd being there mainly for Sasuke's and Gaara's fight, the Hokage would agree to have Sasuke fight in the last section of the Chunin exams, the finals of it. With that being said, Naruto and Neji would now have to come down to the middle of the arena. Neji would be pretty amped up for this, as during his 1 month, seeing Naruto as an actual threat, as his fight against Kiba had shown that he had actual strength and skill, as well as stopping him from, ending Hinata, he would have took his training very seriously. He would have learnt as much stuff as he can, excelled in his strength as much as he could in that small amount of time that he had, and would be ready for this fight, very much underestimating Naruto's skill. Naruto would walk down the stairs, and with each step, Neji's heart rate would start to increase. With Naruto walking into the middle of the arena, the Proctor Genma would start the match, but Naruto isn't paying attention to Neji at all. Naruto is just looking up at the crowd and looks indifferent to all of them, as while he's looking at the audience, he can hear them all cheering for Neji to defeat him. With Naruto seeing as none of these people that he is basically fighting for and protecting as a ninja are wanting him to win and wanting him to lose outright, makes him a little annoyed, which would then further his now new knowledge of the village, well, not really new knowledge, but his already pre-existing knowledge of the village and the people that hate him for no apparent reason, fills him with more anger for the village, seeing it as nothing but a waste of his talent to stay here in the village, and would start to decide his future plans. With Naruto now feeling nothing but contempt and hatred towards the villagers, as he should have been in the original, honestly, he would now look off to where Neji is and would release some of his menacing aura towards him. All of the people around the arena would feel this, as they would get goosebumps and a shiver would go straight down their spine. With everybody, including the third Hokage and Orochimaru, feeling this, they would also get goosebumps with their hair standing up on their skin. And they would not be outright terrified, but be wary of Naruto in total, not knowing what he's going to be doing next. With Neji, who is getting the forefront of this, would start to shiver and would start to, his feet would start to buckle and he would start to step backwards in a bit of fear. Naruto would ask Neji why he thinks that he can defeat him, in which Neji would then declare that it's fate for him to win, as Naruto is the pharaoh of the village, someone that is hated and ostracized, and while him is a prodigy of the Hyuga clan, but has been damned a fate of being a side branch member. Naruto would say why he wants to be a ninja, and Neji would say that it wasn't his choice, and this was all the doings of the clan heads. Naruto, now deciding that this entire situation is extremely boring, he would immediately use his first form, Dark Moon Evening Palace, to get rid of Neji once and for all. Naruto would blitz up to Neji, releasing one horizontal strike against Neji's arm, cutting it right off, with a whole bunch of more crescent moons appearing right off his tip of his blade as well as around him in general. They would slam into Neji, piercing his legs, torso and other arm. Neji would start to scream in pain and would drop to the ground. Genma would immediately call the match, saying that Naruto has won, and Naruto would look up to the audience, seeing a lot of fear and hatred in their eyes, all booing him for dealing with Neji in that manner, and such the brutality that he did Neji in general. With Neji now being put on a stretcher and shipped right to the hospital to get treated immediately, he would have severe wounds that might never be healed, ever. With that being said, Naruto would win the match, and that would be it. With all the matches going the exact same, there wouldn't be any difference whatsoever in the matches, except for, or not really except, but Sasuke's and Gaara's match would just come up. With before the match, after all the fighting is gone and been done, before the match could finish, a smoke bomb was set off in the Kage's box and a genjutsu was put on to the entire crowd, and they would all be put to sleep, and Konoha Crush would now commence. With Naruto sitting with all the others and seeing the genjutsu and immediately breaking it with no difficulty whatsoever, he would decide that he's not going to do anything, as he doesn't want to protect or do anything for the villagers, as they all hate him for no reason except for, obviously the Ninetales, but it's sealed inside of him. With Naruto, he decides to go and walk over to Shikamaru, as he can see that Shikamaru is awake but pretending to be asleep, and decides to sit next to him, closing his eyes and starting to meditate, shutting off the outside world. With him, closing his eyes, he would start to think of a plan, the next plan of actions that he will be doing to get out of this village, as it seems to be hindering his skill, as well as the villagers hating him in general. He thinks that this is a good idea to leave, as there's no one really here for him, except for, the minor friends that he has, like Shikamaru, but those people aren't really his friends, more like comrades in a sense. They're both ninjas and they were both, in the academy together, but Naruto didn't really have much liking towards these people. With that being said, Sasuke would go and run off to fight Gaara and end him, but during that fight, Gaara would go into his half Bichu form, and with Kankuro and Temari being there as well, Sasuke would be on the back end of this fight. With Kakashi finding Naruto, he would get him up and order him to go and help Sasuke to finish off Gaara, or capture Gaara, not finish him off, but capture Gaara, and to stop the One-Tails from being released. With Naruto, who sees that and knows that Sasuke does have some good skill and could be a rival to him in the future after a lot of training, sees some interest in him going, as well as the fact that Gaara seems to be pretty strong as well, and he wants to test his skills against the One-Tails. With Naruto going off and flashing in a massive amount of speed, he would find Sasuke and, Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari. With Naruto immediately finding them, he would use the 5th form Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy, and with many curved slashes laid one after another, he would create a vortex of sword slashes and crescent moons all around the vicinity, which would go in a long range type of a large area attack, which would immediately kill Kankuro, injure Temari, and would severely injure Gaara. With Naruto seeing Gaara in a half Bichu state, he would start to get serious and would start to extend his sword, his flesh sword, extending it to a much longer degree than it was original. Sasuke would see this, as well as Sakura, who was, followed Sasuke immediately, would see that Naruto's sword is starting to extend even further, and more swords are being and are growing off Naruto's extended sword, much like the final form of Kokushibo's sword. With Naruto seeing that Gaara seems to be healing and the sand is reforming around where he basically cut off, he would get ready to deal with Gaara once and for all, testing his skills even more. With Naruto immediately rushing off to where Gaara is, he would use his 3rd form, Loathsome Moon Chains, and would swing his sword rapidly in 2 strikes, which would form a small storm of small crescent moons spread all across the arena and mainly targeting Gaara, which would cause a massive destruction in the area, destroying all the trees, the ground, and everything in general, with Sasuke rushing backwards, grabbing Sakura before, she can get injured as well as Temari, as he doesn't really want her to be killed. Instead, he just wanted her to, surrender. He would grab the two and rush off away from Naruto. But with Gaara now still in his half Bichu state, he would start to gather more sand around him, and with the massive and thousands of crescent moons, spore them, I may say, stabbed into him, he would start to take them all out, with the sand growing around him, forming into the One-Tails Shikaku. With Shikaku now being in full control of Gaara and his original Bichu state, Naruto would see this and would start to get a smirk on his face, as this would be a true fight for him. With Naruto now getting ready to deal with Gaara, he would immediately rush up, launching himself off the ground, and would use the 7th form Mirror of Misfortune, Moonlit, and would swing the gigantic version of his sword in a powerful frontal crescent moon shaped slash that would create a multi-directional long range slash all around the area, which would greatly hurt the One-Tails, chopping off its arms and a lot of its sand torso, as well as half of its head. With Naruto seeing that Gaara is the cause of all this, and wanting to get rid of the One-Tails in general, he would immediately rush off, launching himself off the sand particles that were around him, going right to where Gaara is, and would immediately use the 8th form Moon Dragon Ringtail, and with one strike with a gigantic crescent moon shaped slash that that slowly decreased in size. It would create dozens of crescent moon blades all around the area and would stab into Gaara, dismantling his body, killing him instantly. With Gaara now being dead, the Shikaku would deform, starting to dissipate into thin air, and Gaara's pieces of his body would start to fall down. With the rest of the invasion going the exact same as the original, the third Hokage would die, and Orochimaru would try to escape. And while he's escaping, he would see Sasuke walking back with Sakura and Temari as they wanted to get far away from Naruto in his fight with the One Tails, and would launch himself at Sasuke, giving him the curse mark before knocking away Sakura as well as Temari, and would make his escape with the Sound 4. With everything else going to the original for that and all going to canon, there wouldn't be much to it. With Naruto not going with Jiraiya to find Tsunade, as the council had decided to elect Jiraiya as the Hokage, but with him declining as well, Jiraiya would go and leave the village to go and find Tsunade. But with Naruto, seeing there's no point in him staying in Konoha, and he is now doesn't really have the goal of becoming the Hokage or protect and serve the civilians, he leaves the village at night while the village is still in chaos from the days ago invasion and aren't fully ready for, an attack or keeping a lot of information on everything. With Naruto leaving at night, the elders would find out from the Anbu that were stationed that night but couldn't really go after Naruto. Danzo would be more intrigued in this and would decide to send his root Anbu members to track and bring Naruto to him so that he can potentially use Kotomatsu Kami on Naruto to make him one of his underlings and root members. Naruto and the next day would be wandering around the edge of the fire country and is suddenly confronted by 12 of the root members that were sent after him. Naruto, seeing all the root Anbu members, he would use his transparent world, as he's usually using it like 24/7, and immediately assess the skills and the skill level of the root Anbu members, and would see that they aren't really that strong in comparison to him, that is. With the root Anbu members telling Naruto and ordering him to come back with him to go and serve Lord Danzo as one of his root members, Naruto would tell them to leave him alone and that he isn't going back to Konoha. With the root army members, they would circle him and would get ready to attack him and bring him back to the village. With Naruto taking his sword, he would then deliver the 10th form, drilling slashes, moon through bamboo leaves. And with the strike that he uses with extending his sword, he would create a chaotic vortex of very powerful, long-ranged, omnidirectional slashes that would destroy everything and essentially kill all 12 of the root Anbu members. But with one of them half surviving this, they would write a note and put it on a raven, sending it back to Danzo. Danzo would now find out that Naruto has killed the Anbu members and has gotten a bit of information about Naruto now. He would decide that he's going to put Naruto as a missing nin, as if Naruto isn't with the village, he can just die for all he cares. And with there being no Hokage at this moment, there's no one to really say no to him, as he is a elder of the village who's pretty much making the decisions as of right now. With Jiraiya, who's left earlier than original to find Tsunade to get her to be the 5th Hokage, Orochimaru wouldn't go after Tsunade that early, as now that Jiraiya has went and dealt with her immediately, telling her that if she becomes the 5th Hokage, he will deal with all her debts that she has to pay from her gambling addictions. With Tsunade now agreeing, she would go back to the village, and with Jiraiya as well, going and finding out what Naruto had, done. He would now figure out that Naruto, or now know that Naruto has been placed as a missing nin in the bingo book, and that was all from Danzo. With Tsunade not knowing of Naruto and not really caring about the boy at this moment, she wouldn't say anything about the situation, but Jiraiya would leave the village and go off to find Naruto and to try and bring him back to the village. with Sasuke, who was in the hospital as the curse mark was placed on him, as well as his injuries from all the other fights. He would get the agitated, he would become agitated from that point on, as Sakura is constantly annoying him, and as he's not getting enough power to deal with all the other fights that he has to deal with, like Gaara and the Sand siblings. He would decide that he needs to leave this village, and with the help of the Sound Four, he would leave the village with no one really stopping him, as Sakura didn't find him and Naruto isn't there. But this is where a massive difference would come to the Sasuke Rescue arc, with the original team minus that of Naruto going off to deal with Sasuke and try to bring him back to the village. Choji would die in his fight with Jirobo, as there aren't a lot of members, and with not a lot of backup as well. He would die of blood loss and would eventually die of blood loss. I just said that, I don't know why I said that twice. Neji as well would die to Kimimaro, as he only has one arm and is still a bit injured, but only accepted this mission as he was kind of forced to by the main branch family. Hiba and Akamaru, as versing Seikon and Ukon, and Shikamaru versus Taira, they would also die, as there's a fact that the Sand Trio aren't there to help in the battle against the two or three Sound 4 members, with Rock Lee also going and arriving later than he would have originally. He would know that there are too many of the Sound members there, and after Kimimaro has arrived, he would have to retreat immediately, with Sasuke arriving at Orochimaru's lair fine and dandy. Back with Naruto, he would immediately just be wandering around at the edge of the Fire Country. It would make him, not make himself known, but have a comfy life type of situation, training near the border of the Fire Country, and would just be training for the next 3 years. With Naruto's 3-year time skip, his body and strength in general would have increased tenfold, even more than tenfold, I'd say like 100-fold, as Naruto's base abilities is much stronger than his original counterpart, with him being much stronger, and he's definitely more stronger than the third Hokage in his prime, and would be reaching the area of Hashirama Senju in his prime, as well as Madara. With Naruto's strength now being able to comfortably use and control some of the Nine-Tails chakra, he would have a much better relationship with the Nine-Tails Fox, as because of his demon body, his biological body, as well as his personality, he would have been much on board with the Nine-Tails wanting for destruction, but with Naruto's calm mind and not wanting to go out of control and become crazy, he would say that he wants to become the strongest and can only do that with the Nine-Tails. With the Nine-Tails agreeing with this, he would lend some of his power and chakra to Naruto, and with combining that with his demon blood art, which is the Crescent Moons would get much stronger and would actually have a bit of poisonous chakra in it. So if you do get hit by the Crescent Moons, you would start to get infested with the Nine-Tails chakra, which would slowly poison you until you just, drop dead, as the demonic chakra that the Nine-Tails has would infect your chakra system, leaving you to die. With that being pretty much done, Sasuke would have the exact same type of situation with Orochimaru, as now he wouldn't have unlocked his Ritomoa Sharingan in both of his eyes. He would have done that with his training with Orochimaru, and with him having the same strength as the original, there wouldn't be much difference, as well as he wouldn't have unlocked any more power-ups, and he still would have created Kirin, and there isn't much change with the rest of it. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it off, guys. If you like this, please hit that like button as well as that subscribe button, and do put in the comments if you do want any other what ifs that I should make, and yeah, I'll make a poll on who wants to, which what if I'll make next. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.